Hello and welcome to some more Vintage Cube. If you're here for Cube content, you've come to the right place. Plus, in this video, we play Dunin in match 3. He was last season's trophy winner, just barely edging out Team J-Bro, and it's a heck of a game. I encourage you to continue watching. Now, in this first pack, we got one heck of a decision here between Ancestral Recall and Mox Ruby. Which card would you take? Ancestral Recall, great card draw. It's gonna make you splash blue at the minimum. Mox Ruby, classic acceleration. It's gonna go basically in any deck. So do we value card draw over acceleration? And so in the Vintage Cube here, I really value acceleration. There's other card draw effects which we can get, just Skull Clamp. So I'm gonna take the Mox Ruby, be very happy about it, put the people to my left in blue, and see what comes up here for this next pick. Now we're looking at a Fable, and there's also a hero. You know, Mox Ruby really plays well in aggressive. I mean, it works in any deck, right? But it really plays well in aggressive strategies. So looking at the rest of these cards in this pack, Fable's just so good. It's usually a 2-for-1, if not a 3-for-1 in terms of value. Really performs admirably. You're always happy to draw it early. You're happy to draw it in the late game. Just a great, solid pick. And then looking here after picking up a Fable, I think I just want to get this red fetch early to help turn on some mana fixing later in our draft. Here's a Swords to Plowshares. It's probably my favorite removal spell because it just gains your opponent life instead of giving him a land like Path to Exile does. So we'll take that here. Not really the tri-land we're looking for. I guess just Abbott. It's in our colors. There's a Rabble Master, and fits right into the aggressive red or white strategy that we're playing. It's also an Elspeth, but I think turn 2 Rabble Master off of Mox Ruby's pretty good. Yeah, they're rewarded with the Sacred Foundry. There's also a Skyclave Apparition, but I just want to take the mana fixing now. It's going to allow us to play this Swords to Plowshares, fix our red. And then here we have choices between Wandering Emperor, Char, and Inspiring Vantage. I think I want to take just the direct damage. Wandering Emperor is good, but Char's fine as well. Here's one of my favorite cards in the cube that we're going to slam, and that's Showdown of the Scalds. It's a lot of card advantage, card draw, plus beefs up some of our creatures as well. So really happy to pick up this enchantment. It usually goes pretty late in the draft as well. I think the answer here for this pick is just Koth. He's not the most exciting, but he is super effective. It's either that or a Blackleaf Cliffs, but we're not pulled into black at all yet, so we can just pick up the 4-mana Planeswalker. Usher coming around. You love to see it. And there's a Bloodthirsty versus a Student. I'm going to take the Bloodthirsty. We may be able to recast them like a Swords to Plowshare. Swift Reconfiguration for pick 13. Relic Order Wheeling. Super nice to see. There's a Skyclave pick 15. Wow. Nobody's in mono white. All right, that's kind of going to influence the rest of this draft a little bit. We know that white cards are going to wheel. Plateau in pack 2. We already have the Sacred Foundry, however, so maybe we could take this Strip Mine. Strip Mine, pretty effective at keeping our opponents with aggressive mana strategies off of that mana base. So I think we'll pick it up. Since we already have the Sacred Foundry, we don't need the Plateau. And maybe the Plateau will wheel, but the Strip Mine probably won't. And then, ooh, in this pack, there's a Prismatic and a Magda. I do love Magda, but one of the most important things when you're playing a 2-color aggressive strategy is to have really good mana fixing. Because you can easily have, you know, spells that are both double white or double red. And you want to have access to that mana fixing to be able to cast those spells on curve when you need to. So the mana fixing I prioritized in this archetype. Well, there's a Laelia. Gonna have to slam that. Glorybringer and an Elesh Norn as well. If you didn't watch one of my last videos where I played Team J-Bro, he really decimated me with an Elesh Norn in a mono white deck. So having that nice curve topper, even in your aggressive decks, is pretty important. That way you always have some live draws and board stalls or late in the game. So definitely could have taken Elesh Norn there, but Lele just too good. And here, Firebolt, pretty much the only pick. And Chandra, yeah, best 4-mana Planeswalker. Better than Jace, in my opinion. Just super, super strong. Here's a Goblin Guide. Less excited about Goblin Guide. Don't really like giving my opponents land. There's also an Extraction Specialist, also kind of mediocre. I think I just want to take the aggressive card here, try to limit our opponent's options by being aggressive up front. There's an Intrepid Adversary, also a Jackal Hops. Not going to play the Jackal Hops here, though I have seen it played before. Intrepid Adversary, pretty important Anthem effect just to make our smaller creatures deal a little bit more damage later in the game, so we'll take that here. And then here's a decision between Sun Titan and Manatith. If we had Black Lotus, I'd be taking Sun Titan. Since we don't, I'm just going to take the Tithe. Don't know if it'll make the deck, but we'll take it. And then, ooh, there's that Magda Wheeling. So good. And then here's that Elish Norn again, like I said earlier. So we could take either the Glorybringer, which is more kind of traditional, but Elish Norn offers just that really high top end. And I want to take it. I want to see if we can win some games with it. Here's a Recruiter, which is fine. Lion Sash for the sideboard. Specialist for the sideboard. And a Sphinx. All right, pack 3. A lot of different ways we could go here. We could pick up an REB just for sideboard. A Bloodstained Mire also fetches out our Sacred Foundry. Containment Priest if we want to be better against something like Reanimator. And there's that Path to Exile. Another great straight up removal spell. I don't like how Path gives your opponent a land. Early in the game, that's pretty detrimental. Later in the game, doesn't really matter. But I think it's going to be our pickup here. I don't want Lightning Helix. I want to be able to exile anything. Path to Exile is the strongest here, I think. So we'll take that. Ooh, there's a Monkey. Didn't even look at the rest of the pack there. Did you see what else is in that pack? Doesn't matter. Monkey's too strong. Well, there's a Skull Clamp. I think I just need to take it. Crocus is really good. Skull Clamp, though, is kind of like I mentioned at the beginning. Just an inordinate amount of card draw. There's a Solitude, also one of the just strongest cards in the cube. One of the only spells that can deal with Emrakul, because Solitude is an effect and not a spell itself. So the effect has no color, so which means you can exile Emrakul. Here, I want to take the Goldspan. Just another great beater. Making mana, get in for some hasty damage. Mentor, DRC, and a Cathar Commando. Let's take the Commando. We don't really have any other ways to blow up artifacts. And then, ooh, there's K Command. Love that. We don't have any black, though. I guess we'll just take the History for the sideboard. There's an Unholy Heat, which we can take as well. REB for the sideboard. There's a Lurrus and a Thraben. I think either one of these picks is fine. We'll take Lurrus. I don't know if he'll make the deck, though. I'm going to take out Koth there because we're not mono red. Koth really shines in mono red. If you have more than one color, though, not as good. There's a Thundermaw, a Giver. We'll take the Giver here. We already have a nice Hasty Dragon. Swift Spear versus Spectral Procession. I think Swift Spear, just the number of spells we have, plus may not always have 3 white available. Silver Blade, though, probably for the sideboard. And then looks like we are rounding out pack 3. Here's how the deck ended up. Solid Boros again, Mox Ruby for some ramp, Skull Clamp for some card draw, and Elish Norn way up there at 7 mana value to just, swing games back in our favor in case we get behind. Let's jump into match 1. And remember, match 3 is against the previous season's trophy winner, Dunin, so stick around and watch that match. Match 1 on the play. Gonna slam, keep this hand, lead out here with the planes, get the Giver online, and we'll pass to the opponent. Hopefully they come out with, okay, are they going to fetch for some Triome or something? Drop into Mox Jet, okay. And Mesmeric Fiend. Well, they can't take the land. They can probably just take the Swords to Plowshares. And I'm for sure just going to strip mine that Tropical, I think, here. Yeah. So we'll do that. We'll strip. We'll get in there with the Giver since she can't give herself protection and pass it back. Okay, Swamp into Golgari Signet. So fixing colors again. Ooh, we're mana off of Lelia. Nothing to do against that for now. Urza Saga, that's a great land. So gonna have some tokens. Another land off the top for us. Let's get Lelia down. Get in there for some damage. Not gonna attack with the giver this time. I want to keep the giver. Ooh, misclick. Mark the punt counter. Did not attack with Lelia. That was an accident. Sometimes you just click through your phases. You know what I mean? We've all been there. All right, well, now the opponent's Saga, Urza Saga is online, but it looks like they're tapping, okay, they're tapping for Thran Dynamo. So their construct token is going to be pretty good sized. Recruiter was probably a decent draw. Not going to play a land off the top here in case we exile one with Lelia. We will use the Recruiter's ability here. What do we want to get? Skyclave to just take a construct off the battlefield. These constructs are going to be, right now, they're going to be 4/4s, 5/5s, potentially 6/6. So I think Skyclave is nice. Maybe I should have gotten the Leonin Relic Order. We're going to get in here with the Lelia because if they make a construct, I can just give Lelia protection from colorless. We exile Lurrus, which we can't pass. Opponent does make a construct. We will make Lelia protection from colorless. And we'll pass a turn. I expect our opponent to make another construct here. Yep, they do. So, and then let's see what they fetch out with their Urza Saga trigger. Retrofitter Foundry. All right, a lot of colorless. Glad we have the giver online. And there's those 6/6 construct tokens, kind of like we were expecting. We can chump here with the Recruiter, save 6 life, I think. Another land. So we can get Goldspan down. Before we play the land, let's just attack with Lelia. Maybe we'll exile another land. I'm going to give her protection from colorless so she can't be blocked. All right, so we did exile another land, so we'll be able to play that off the top. And let's get the Skyclave down. Skyclave cannot target tokens. I forgot about that. So we'll take the Retrofitter away. And our opponent will retrofit in response. I wonder if Relic Order can exile tokens, because then that's definitely going to be that would be a punt as well. Yeah, we could. So Relic Order could have exiled that construct token. Maybe it'll work out here. That Goldspan Dragon representing a lot of damage in hand. We'll chump here on our opponent's attack. Yeah, Relic Order was probably the right pick here. Definitely punt number 2. 2 punts already. We're on pace here, that's for sure. Kaito Shizuki. All right, not one you see every day. Mindslaver. All right. And then Kaito phases out. All right, we don't have good attacks there. I wonder, had we gotten Relic Order, we wouldn't have given our opponent a 1/1. See, that 1/1 I think was blue elemental token. Yeah, maybe that game could have gone differently. Definitely some misplays on our part with what we chose. So make that note. Skyclave cannot exile tokens. All right, here we are in game 2. On the play again, this is another slam keep. I did not see removal out of our opponent, but I'm still not going to lead out on Ragavan. We'll just dash Ragavan next turn. So we'll play our mountain, dash a Ragavan here. Make a treasure token, exile a thing. So many good things. All right, swamp. Can't play that. Verdant Catacombs cracked for a swamp into something. Oh, into Walking Ballista. Yeah. Well, we're not going to dash the monkey quite yet then. We'll play the Skyclave Apparition. That'll get this Walking Ballista out of here, force them to drop their trigger. And then we can either play Ragavan or Monastery Swiftspear, but let's just get Ragavan down. I don't think they have a lot of removal. A Walking Ballista is pretty desperate. There's a Mesmeric Fiend. What are they going to take? Probably the Rabble Master? Yeah. The gig is up with the Elish Norn Secret Tech. And then they play a Retrofitter Foundry. All right, pretty good. Well, we can get Swiftspear down. I'm going to send an attack in. If they want to block our Ragavan, we'll just get a Goblin Rabble Master back, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, we got to play this Rabble Master post-combat. Feels bad. All right, Oko. Making their Retrofitter Foundry into a 3/3. Okay. We draw another land. I don't think we have great attacks. We could put Oko to 1 and trade with the Retrofitter Foundry. That's probably right. I expect they'll block our... Yeah, I expect they'll block their Rival Master. They do. Oko goes to 1. Oko makes a food token. Ooh, and then they evoke a Shriekmaw. That's okay. What are they going to target? Yep. All right. Come on, deck. Something off the top, please. All right, there it is. Adversary. That's why we drafted that card. And we'll be able to pump twice. So this feels good. Plays around something like Mana Leak as well, because you don't have to pay for the ability until after it enters the battlefield. And now we can take out Oko and get in for some nice damage. That was a great draw. Plus now, either lands or spells off the top are great. Because with the land, we can cast this Elesh Norn. Okay, so Sower of Temptation. Now our opponent's team's really good here, really big. All right, so Elesh Norn, for the first time, doesn't kill a lot of things here. So it makes our guys bigger, and it puts our opponent back to like regular size. Because our opponent's team's getting buffed by our own Intrepid Adversary. So you don't see that too often. A little +2, -2 action going on. Urza, okay. Again, nothing's going to die on our opponent's side as it's getting +2 from the adversary. We can get rid of this Sower. Yeah, there we go. We can take care of the Sower. That'll give us the adversary back. Opponent's creatures are going to die. Yeah, and our opponent knows that that's game. All right, sweet. Elesh Norn. Love it. Game 3 on the draw. We can keep this hand with both Usher and Cathar Commando. Opponent cracks their Verdant Catacombs for Tropical Island again into a Ponder. If we draw Strip Mine here, I will just strip turn 1. All right, we don't, so we'll just get the Usher down. Pass it back. Opponent plays Swamp into an Evoke Shriekmaw. That's fine. Not ideal, but fine. There's a Mentor. I'm sorry, there's a Monastery Swift Spear. We're just going to hold up the Cathar Commando, though. Represents more damage. Coalition Relic. All right. Well, we could blow that up with the Cathar Commando. Probably will after getting in for damage. And then there's a Showdown of the Scalds. So we'll get the Swift Spear down. We'll get in for 4. And I think I just want to blow up this Coalition Relic. Keep our opponent off some mana here. Planning to play Showdown next turn. Island comes down. Opponent hitting their land drops. All right, into a 3 on Dynamo. So now they've kind of ramped up. Let's get some more action on our side of the battlefield here. Cast the Showdown. Trigger Prowess. And what do we get? Ooh, there's an REB and a Goblin Rival Master. All right. And an Unholy Heat. So we can play all 3 of those spells next turn. Our opponent Night's Whispers. Another land. Into an Oko. That's got to be a punt from our opponent. I don't think they know what REB does, which destroys any blue permanent or counters a blue spell. So pretty effective card for a single red mana. We'll play the Plains because we don't need to play Unholy Heat. We'll play Goblin Rival Master here. Trigger a counter off the Showdown. Then we'll REB the opponent's Oko. Put another counter on our stuff. Our opponent's probably questioning their decision to play that Oko. And we'll get in there for a bunch of damage. 5. So definitely punt on our opponent's side. May cost them the game. I'm sure they're kicking themselves for playing that Oko. I mean, they do have a food token, which they can gain life on. But that's not much consolation for when you could see I had an REB in the exile zone. That REB was going to go away next turn, so they could have just waited 1 turn. And they cracked their food token. We're getting closer to this Elesh Norn as well. But we also just have almost lethal next turn with the Showdown triggers. All right, our opponent just gives up. Yeah, that REB, man, that's got to feel bad for them. So anyways, on to match 2. All right, match 2, playing against Zenono. Zenono. It's a funny name. We are on the draw, and this is a slam keep here with Fable of the Mirror Breaker and Skull Clamp. So we'll plan to lead out on turn 1 to Skull Clamp and see what our opponent's up to here. Wooded Foothills, pass. Love to see it. We draw a Goldspan Dragon, so we'll just lead out Skull Clamp. No real need to hold up Path to Exile right now. And our opponent just planes and passes, so like to see that. No land from us. Unfortunately, nothing for us to do with it. All of our 1 and 2 drops didn't make it into this hand. But Fable of the Mirror Breaker will be good next turn. Our opponent cracks their fetch to get out a Ketria Triome. So 3 colors, 4 colors, Forest, Island, Mountain, Plains, into a Sea-Chrome Coast. All right, Knight of the Reliquary. That's probably, I mean, I'm just going to target that now. Yeah, they get to put another land on the battlefield, which is no bueno, but I want to get this Fable down and have it be kind of uncontested. Another land for us, so definitely a lot of things to pitch to Fable here on its second chapter. And opponent plays a Gilded Drake. All right. I mean, I guess we have a 3/3 flyer now. We're not going to make treasure tokens with the Goblin Shaman. Oh, and then they play a Sword of Body in mind. Okay. Well, that doesn't have pro red, luckily. So first, let's ditch 2 of these lands here to Fable's ability. And we get a Monastery, Swift Spirit, and then another Plains. So for the place here, I think it's kind of not aggressive, but I want to get Swift Spirit down and Magda, and then just be ready to double block this Goblin token, because I think the opponent's gonna equip up the token with the sword, and then with Skull Clamp we'll have enough power to trade. Plus we'll draw cards off the Skull Clamp, and we can just keep getting in with the 3/3 flyer anyways. Because next turn we're gonna just want a gold span, and that's a lot of value. We kind of have a line for a tremendous amount of value here in the future. Ooh, our opponent balances. Yeah. So they're going to have to discard a card and sack a land. We got to sack 2 creatures. Honestly, I'm just going to sack the Swift Spear, I think, and the Gilded Drake, and then block with the Magda token. So the line of value that we have is we get Kiki, Reflection of Kiki Jiki is going to flip, and then the turn after we'll be able to copy Goldspan Dragon as it attacks, and also equip Skull Clamp to the copy. And then so when the Goldspan token dies, we'll get to draw off with the Skull Clamp, plus we made a bunch of treasures. So that's kind of the plan. So we sacked our creatures there. We'll block with the Swift Spear here. I don't want to take a hit off this sword. Skyclave, yeah, perfect. Now, if we remember from the first game, Skyclave cannot target tokens, but we can target the sword. We don't have enough mana to do both Skyclave and Goldspan, but next turn we can do Kiki Jiki and the Goldspan Dragon both at the same time because we'll have 6 mana. I mean, we could also just play Chandra and downtick. That's probably the safest, as it takes their creature off the battlefield and we just save Skyclave for something else. And then we can attach Skull Clamp to our Reflection of Kiki Jiki in case, everything goes wrong. So we'll downtick here on the Chandra, targeting the Goblin token, and then we'll just equip the Skull Clamp just in case. So next turn, with Chandra's uptick, we'll have enough mana to do all the things we want to do. Elspeth. Okay. I don't think that's going to be as good as our opponent thinks it is, to be honest. So let's uptake on Chandra. This is just gross. We can cast the Goldspan now. And then we're going to use Kiki to copy Goldspan. Perfect. And then we're going to equip the Skull Clamp to the token of the dragon. 1, that's going to allow us to kill the Elspeth. But 2, when that token dies, we're going to draw cards. Both of these dragons are going to make treasure tokens, both of which will tap for 2 mana each. We haven't played a land yet this turn. But what we can do now is we can just get rid of that Sword of Body in mind. I don't want to unequip the Skull Clamp yet because I do want this Goldspan Dragon to die. Okay. And opponent just wraps it up there. All right, so a lot of value. All right, game 2. On the draw again. This hand's going to have to go back. Just 1 mana, not enough. So let's send this one to mulligan. This hand, ooh, I don't think we can keep this one either. We're on the draw. Put back a Plains. We have Swift Spear, Strip Mine, and then a Hope and a Prayer. Well, our opponent leads out Sea-Chrome Coast. I'm just going to strip that turn 1. Ooh, Usher the Fallen was a great draw. Let's actually get Usher down here. This will allow us to get some pressure. And if our opponent doesn't have a turn 2 play, we'll be able to strip mine. Okay, nothing. Ooh, very tempting. So with our opponent not having any play on turn 2, it's likely if we strip them here, they're not going to have a play again next turn. So this is essentially like a time walk. All right, they do Swords to Plowshares in response, and we'll have to pass the turn back. So we took them off blue mana. They just played a second Plains, and now we are going to be able to get our Swift Spear down, followed by Ravel Master the next turn. Breeding Pool untapped for the opponent. Into Knight of the Reliquary again. All right. There's a Relic Order in case any sword shenanigans come down. Let's just get this Ravel Master down, and then we'll pass. Makes a token, which will attack. Wow, he just took it. Didn't even block. Amazing. We were tapped out. That was a punt by the opponent. All right, activates Knight of the Reliquary, searching up an Underground Sea. Into Maelstrom Pulse on the Ravel Master. All right, I'll take it. Well, we can get Magda down and get in there for a couple, and we'll pass it back. We'll fetch end a turn here to thin out the deck a little bit, maybe. Ooh, Witherbloom Command on the Magda and milling themselves for more lands, making their Knight a 7/7. That's not bad. Not bad at all. And they have a follow-up. So Witherbloom Command is pretty strong in Vintage Cube. Looks like they're going to activate Reliquary again to play an Oko. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so then make a food token with Oko. We'll fetch here. Pull out a Plains. Well, not ideal, but we need to get as much pressure on as we can. So let's Relic Order that food token. Feels a little bad, and get in there at Oko for 2. Again, using Knight of the Reliquary to ramp out some of these spells. 5 mana into a Bribery. Well, we have Elish Norn in hand. What are they going to take? All right, they take Goldspan. I mean, that's good. All right. Man, their Knight of the Reliquary is pretty big. All right, and then they cast an Arbor Elf. Okay, I don't know. I mean, we're 1 land off Elish Norn. We can attack into the Oko again. I need to leave something back to block that Knight, though. Oko goes down to 3. I'll take it. Not looking good, though. Oko turns the food token into a 3/3. And opponent casts Scarab God. Okay, I've seen enough on that one. Let's go to a game 3. All right, game 3, we are on the play this time. And here we are on the play with a Ragavan and a Mox Ruby. Gonna keep this hand. We brought the RAB in there because we saw a lot of blue cards from the opponent. Oko, Scarab God. So we're gonna turn 1 dash this Ragavan in. That'll give us a treasure token. Help get us some white mana if we need it here. Witherbloom Command. Okay, not gonna cast that, but glad to see it gone. And opponent casts Arbor Elf. Probably as a blocker. Well, Arbor Elf doesn't block Lelia very well. Hopefully we can exile a land with this Lelia here. All right, we do. It's a mountain. And I'm just going to cast Ragavan here. Though there is potential that we should have held up REB there. If they play like, yeah, blue source here. They do have Oko mana now. Worst case, Oko's just, okay, they cultivate. That's fine. Definitely okay with that, as now our Ragavan's going to be able to get in again. Plus our Lelia. All right, our Lelia exiles a Chandra, which we will be able to cast here off of the Ragavan trigger. We exile our opponent's Scarab God, but we're going to put out Chandra here, and we just downtick on the Arbor Elf. That's a free one. Tapped Rafine's Tower. Yeah. Okay, they Maelstrom Pulse Lelia, but I still have an active Ragavan. There's a Plains. This is great. If we uptick on Lelia for mana, we can get Showdown on the battlefield. And I'm going to like that. Hopefully it'll give us a couple more lands for next turn. It does. We have a Goblin Ravel Master, a Cathar Commando, and an Unholy Heat. Well, with this Ragavan token, we exiled a Sea Chrome Coast from our opponent. We can just get Ravel Master down. Now, Utopia Sprawl for the opponent. I chose not to put Ravelmaster down as I'm just going to hold up REB for now. As something that gets our opponent back in this is some sort of crazy, I don't know, upheaval shenanigans. Bribery? Okay. Wow, our opponent just gave up there. Okay, welcome to match 3. We are playing Dunin, the trophy leader from last season, and we are on the draw. So it looks like he leads out Forest Arbor Elf and passes. Our opening hand is a keep. We have that Skull Clamp. We're going to have to lead out on that, and hopefully we can draw some more action here. Hand is a little slow. Oh, and looks like Dunin cast Channel. This is probably going to be a quick game 1. Into Ulamog, yeah. So they're going to blow up our land, and it looks like we're facing a 10-10 Annihilator 4. Follow on play, second elf there. Okay, so it looks like the mono green ramp plan there for the trophy leader. We're going to concede game 1. Not much you can do against a turn 2 Ulamog on the draw. So knowing that they're on mono green, I want to bring in some of our point removal to try to take care of as many elves as possible. So like Firebolt, probably the best thing we're looking for here. And then we can probably get rid of something like Luris. Luris is kind of underperforming. Okay, game 2, we are on the play this time, and ooh, this hand I think has to go to the cat. Solitude is intriguing, but I want to turn 1 Give Reverence. Without a red source, there's really not a lot of follow-up here, so this is going to be a mulligan. This hand looks much better with fast mana and both colors here with the Sacred Foundry. So let's lead out turn 1 Magda with the Mountain and the Mox Ruby, and then that way Magda will be online, creating both colors of mana for us as well. All right, Dwarf Berserker on the board, passing it to Dunin, see what they lead out on. Forest turn 1 Elf, okay. I think I'm going to be happy offering the trade here. Ooh, Intrepid Adversary, interesting. So let's get in there. If they want to trade, then that's 1 less elf to deal with here. We're already going to make our white source with the treasure. Yep, no blocks. All right, but this makes the treasure. And so now with that treasure token, I'm going to be pretty aggressive here. I'm going to Skyclave the Llanowar elf. Don't want them having things to natural order with. Second forest and pass. Ooh, okay. So no channel in hand, obviously, or no channel and no payoff. This is super aggressive here as well. Because they didn't have any plays, I want to get Intrepid Adversary on the board and use a treasure token to pump. This is going to put the quickest clock possible on the opponent. So we're swinging for 10 next turn. And again, no plays. Yeah, hoping, they were trying to ramp into something like a natural order, and now they just don't have it. And no reason to play either one of these creatures. We have lethal, so we'll just pass the turn holding up swords. Okay, yeah, not much game there from the opponent. So 2 real quick games. Game 1, kind of a non-game. Game 2, also kind of a non-game there. Curious what kind of hand that Dunin kept. So, all right, well, here we are in the trophy match, playing against Dunin, going into Game 3 finals, tied up 1-1. Let's see if we can get there. Ooh, okay, well, this hand, I don't know. It doesn't really do much, right? Like, strip mining a green opponent. We do have Mana Tithe. Let's live on the back of this tithe, shall we? All right, turn 1 Elf. It's a pretty good start. We'll play the Prismatic Vista down. We'll fetch out, looks like another white source. And now the decision is to hold up Tithe or Swords of Plowshares, and let's just hold up Tithe. Another Elf, okay. Into Raphellos. Yeah, I will Tithe Raphellos. All right. Ooh, we draw Mox Ruby. Okay. Well, Strip Mine not looking that great right now, unfortunately. We really don't have another play. Let's just take them off one of the manas. Get our Ruby down. So that's kind of like mana neutral because the Ruby counts as a land. And I'm just going to get this Intrepid Adversary down. It's some pressure, even though they do have the 1/1s to block it. Ooh, so they did not play a land. That's kind of critical, but they do blow up our Mox. All right, little resource back and forth here. I'll get in there. I expect them to block. They do. And now we just got to wait. Maybe that was not a great attack. You know, we have things in our deck like Skull Clamp, and Skull Clamping that 3-1 may have been a much smarter choice. So probably half punt there. There's a Birds of Paradise. Again, no land drops. And no attacks as well. Fable. Oh, man. See, what did I tell you? Fable is an amazing card. What a draw. It's going to put a 2-2 on the board. It's going to allow us to filter. And we have the gold span in hand. If you remember back from, I think it was game 1. Okay, well, there's Garrick. Garrick's probably going to downtick. Yep, all right. So a little, not quite 2-for-1 action there because Garrick still stays on the battlefield. We will use the Saga's ability. See, okay, there's Skull Clamp. Okay, so yeah, if you remember back from the first game, if we get Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, Goldspan Dragon, and Skull Clamp running, we're going to be making a lot of mana, and we're going to be drawing a lot of cards. Now we will, if we draw another land, be able to attack down the Garrick next turn. Okay, there's Circle of Dreams Druid. Now this, I think I'm going to Swords to Plowshares. I want to keep Dooning off as much mana as possible, and that's basically a Guy's Cradle. Okay, there's a Chandra. Okay, so there's really not a lot of sense in playing Chandra here. Actually, he's only got 3 1/1s out. Like, he can't kill Chandra. We could potentially just play Chandra and uptick, and then really doesn't have great attacks because only the Wolf token has Death Touch, and we could block eating of the Elves, and the Birds of Paradise has no power. So while it doesn't look great, this is actually a board where I think we can play Chandra, and then definitely want to uptick just because I don't want to have Chandra removed, because Chandra's mana ability is going to allow us to get this Goldspan Dragon shenanigans going very quickly. So first we'll start with a fetch. We'll get out another red source, and we'll play Chandra, and then we'll uptick. We can probably just exile safely for 2 damage, and then we can pass the turn here. So we exile Monastery, Swiss Spirit's Fawn, and we'll pass the turn. So Reflection of Kiki-Jiki acting as a blocker. Now it is kind of scary that Garrett can downtick here to basically tutor out any creature in the deck to put into Dunan's hand. So definitely have to be mindful of that. I'm hoping he just upticks again, makes another Wolf token. Karn. Okay, that's kind of scary. All right, they uptick on Karn. You know what? I'm actually going to give him Green Sun Zenith here instead of the land, because I don't want him. He hasn't hit a land drop yet this turn, and Green Sun Zenith won't do anything at least until next turn, and then it'll cost them mana as well. Usually always give lands, but opponent's hurting on land. Yep, awesome. Making another 1/1 Death Touch token. Love to see it. I expect him to attack. No attacks again still. Okay, protecting the Planeswalkers. We draw land, which is amazing. This is exactly what we wanted to see. We have exactly 7 mana, which is what we need to both cast Goldspan Dragon, make a copy of it with Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, and equip the Skull Clamp to the copy. This is going to be amazing. So here's a copy. Skull Clamp goes on the copy. This is going to make even more mana here. We can get in for 5, so we can attack, almost can attack down Karn. Karn will go to 1. Garrick will die. We'll make 2 treasure tokens, which we can sack for 4 mana. And then we'll go to our end step, sack the copied, Skull Clamp will trigger, and we get Path to Exile and Skyclave Apparition. Those were amazing draws. All right, doing it upticks again. This time revealing Ulamog. Not going to give him Ulamog. So we'll definitely put Ulamog in the exile zone, as Karn's going to be able, we're going to be able to take Karn off the battlefield next turn. All right, here's the Green Sun Zenith for 4. About the only thing that kills Chandra here is a questing beast. Palukranos. All right, that's not very scary. Finally, he attacks. Looks like he's going to attack down Chandra. Oh, wow. Lelia as well? Okay, I think we can do everything here. We're going to start by getting this Palukranos out of the way. We have 9 mana right now, and all of the spells on our hands combined cost 7. So we can safely just uptick with Chandra. We exiled a Mountain. In theory, another half punt there, so I think we're up to 3 punts. I should have done that after playing Lelia, as that would have pumped Lelia by 1. So misplay there for a point of damage. But we're going to sleeve up our shenanigans just like we had last time. Also a little bit of a misplay here, not using the treasure token earlier to equip the Skull Clamp and cast Path to Exile. We could have had one more mana up. But we will Path to Exile the Polukranos now. And this will allow us to attack down Karn with the Lelia and get in for non-damage here, which means Dunan's facing lethal next turn. We make even more mana. Ooh, we exile a Firebolt. Okay, so I'm going to use all 3 of these treasure tokens just to restrict Dunan on mana even more. That's been the name of this game, just restricting the opponent on mana. And it looks like we're really being able to choke out his resources here. And we can flash back the Firebolt and deal with another elf. And we'll draw 2 more cards. Yeah, had we tapped correctly pre-combat, we'd at least have 1 mana left for Unholy Heat here. Which there are 4. We do have Delirium active. Alright, Mox Jet. Not going to do it. Tovolar, Huntmaster. That's also not going to do it. We have lethal on board now. 9 in the air with 2 Goldspan Dragons, which is just an insane combo. Yeah, and that does it. We take down the trophy leader for the win. What a match 3, game 3. That was pretty sweet. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling with me here. Don't touch that dial and let's keep cubing.